Third quarter, 10 minutes to go. Austin Reeves hits a 3 to put the Lakers up 20. They were comfortably outplaying the Nuggets on their home floor. At this point, Anthony Davis had an incredible 30 points on 13 of 14 shooting. LeBron had 10 assists, diming up everyone for open shot after open shot, many of which ended up in the hands of D'Angelo Russell, who had 6 threes in just 7 attempts. On the other side of things, the Nuggets couldn't score at all. Jamal Murray was a measly 3 of 11. As a team, they were shooting just 37% from the field and 29% from 3. I think you get the idea. We know how this story goes though. In 135 clutch minutes this season, Denver has outscored opponents by a net rating of plus 24.5, which is of course first in the NBA. And that's in large part due to perfect offensive execution, whether that's the two-man game or a Jokic isolation, but also a defense that when locked in can match up with virtually anyone. So once again, I go back to that score of 68-48, 10 minutes to go in the third, and all Denver has to do is chip into the lead just enough to bring the game into clutch time. They started this stretch with a high pick and roll. 2 go with Jamal, Davis hangs around the paint to not give Joker an angle, and that leaves Porter all alone up top as he steps into a 3. The Lakers come right back with a pick and roll of their own. Jokic is back in a drop, but isn't quite agile enough to take away both the ball and the roll, resulting in a deep paint touch and ultimately a bucket. Then instead of a high pick and roll, Denver sets up the two-man game in an open corner so that Jokic can post up in space. Right off the catch, he draws a double, putting the defense in rotation, and it ends up in the hands of KCP, who puts his head down on a drive and draws a couple of free throws. These two teams just continue to go back and forth. Now LeBron gets the switch onto Jokic and isolates from an open corner himself, where he's going to pull back into a mid-range jumper, and on the other end, Jokic establishes inside position against Davis, which forces a foul to prevent a layup. Speaking of Davis, the Nuggets switched Gordon onto him in an effort to slow down his scoring, and here he looks completely unfazed, turning into a jump hook for his 32nd points of the night. Without stops, Denver really couldn't afford to leave any possessions empty, and because LA was fully committed to doubling Joker off the catch, that meant other guys had to knock down shots, which they simply weren't doing. On this one, you're going to see them set up with 2 ball screens for Jamal to attack the middle, and he creates a ton of space on a step back jumper. It was just one of those nights though. Because shots still weren't falling, the Nuggets had to find different ways to create good opportunities, which they did in the form of pace. They started to really run and gun, playing out in the open floor, and that led to some easy buckets. On this one, it's KCP who's pushing the ball, and he hits a streaking Jokic down in the middle, with nobody in position to stop him from moonwalking into a layup. Just a few seconds later, you're going to see Joker grab a rebound and initiate the break himself, where he first applies pressure before kicking it to Jamal, although his shot remains nowhere to be found. They weren't done just yet though. The next play again starts with a Jokic rebound, and KCP leaks out like a wide receiver, and with one man to beat, he decides to take it up with authority. Now the crowd is starting to get involved. Of course, you can't create this sort of transition offense without stops, and Denver was all the way locked in defensively. Priority number 1 was overloading the paint as much as possible, and for a guy like Davis, that means long twos instead of layups and touch shots. As for Reeves, when he tries to turn the corner, there's no angle for him to attack, and KCP's all over him with aggressive pressure. That pays off when he draws an illegal screen, and that's actually AD's 4th foul, so it's time for him to take a break. Without Davis, all of a sudden that paint looks pretty sweet, and Jokic seems to think so too as he works his way into an easy bucket. It isn't just Joker who benefits though. They're losing a cleanup guy around the rim, so when Reggie Jackson cuts backdoor, he's got an easy lay, although this one doesn't quite get the roll. And this creates a sort of pick your poison, where it feels like no matter what you do as a defense, you're wrong. If you leave Rui in single coverage, Joker's doing his best impression of a ballerina to create a layup. But as soon as you throw a second body his way, he's patiently mapping the court for one of his moving teammates, and they're left with easy opportunities of their own. On defense, they continue to pack the paint. LeBron gets the switch onto MPJ and sees a chance to blow by, only to run right into Jackson for an offensive foul. Then on the final possession of the quarter, Jamal attacks the middle and finds an opening, but clearly hesitates on an awkward floater looking thing, which takes us to the buzzer. They cut a 20-point deficit down to 10, with some work still needing to be done. To start the fourth, Jokic was on the bench, and both teams just went blow for blow. You've got Gordon with a nice drive and finish. On the other side, Taurean Prince is stepping back for a 3 to beat the shot clock buzzer, and after just over 2 minutes of play that ended with this wild pass attempt from D'Lo, it was time for Jokic to re-enter the game trailing by 9. Right away, they go to their bread and butter. Joker hands it off to Murray, and Rui's so worried about the pop that he doesn't even make an effort to play the ball, leaving a red carpet to the basket. On the other end, their defense locks up, courtesy of Peyton Watson, and that defense turns into more fast-paced offense as Jokic finds Watson to make it a 5-point game. After forcing a turnover, they've got a chance to bring it down to 1 possession, and you get about as good of a look as you can ask for on a Jokic jumper. It just rims out. Still, I bet you can guess how the Nuggets set up their next play. They clear a side of the floor for a dribble handoff to Murray, and you can see how much more decisive he looks as he steps back for a midi. What I keep going back to though is that it starts with the defense, packing the paint against LeBron, not letting Davis have any sort of lane to the rim, and he actually didn't score in the last 19 minutes of this game. Like clockwork, Denver's going to go right back to that exact same setup, but instead of a midi, Jamal hesitates before continuing his drive, and he's clearly starting to feel it. Right when they cut it down to 2 though, here came LeBron with a statement. They go to some more pick and roll, and KCP goes under the screen, which leaves him with room to pull up for a 3. Then a possession later, he's isolating against Gordon from up top, and uses a small window to pull up again, and it's right back to an 8-point advantage. So next time Bron sets up the pick and roll, KCP is going to chase him over, and he does an absolutely phenomenal job of getting back in front to make it a tough finish. And when Bron uses his size over KCP by playing out of the post, once again you see that emphasis on packing the paint as they strip the ball and force a turnover. Back on offense, Jokic is going to go right at Davis one-on-one with his signature floater, and after a rare miss, he tips it back to himself for an easy follow. LeBron wasn't done just yet though. They set him up on an open side, and he once again takes the smaller KCP in isolation, this time turning into an off-balance jumper for 2 plus a foul. They just couldn't create any separation because of that buzzsaw of a Denver offense. Jokic posts up AD from the middle, and LA chooses to leave him in single coverage. Not exactly the best decision. Next time down, they're going to instead start their offense with one of those high pick and rolls. Jamal comes off the screen, hesitates at about the elbow, and just like earlier, you'll see that Davis is more focused on not leaving Jokic open, which results in a free lane and a layup. Right after that, the Lakers finally miss a shot, and now the floodgates are open. Jokic takes Davis right back to the post, and with a couple body bumps, sharp footwork, and an up fake, arguably the league's best defender is at his mercy. Now we're under 2 minutes left in the game, and Reeves is able to get a really clean look from 3, and his shot just rims out, meaning Denver now has a chance to take the lead. What else could it be but the 2-man game? Jokic sets a Hall of Fame brick wall screen on Reeves, leaving him wide open in the paint, and LeBron makes a remarkable play to not only deflect the pass, but turn that into fast break offense going the other way, where he once again showcases that Father Time has no answer. This next possession is everything though. It's sloppy, gets broken up, and LA can take complete control with a stop, only for the ball to somehow find MPJ for a quality 3. We're all tied up at 95. This right here is the exact situation you want to avoid being in when going up against the league's best clutch time team, but the Lakers weren't rolling over. Out of pick and roll, Russell gets to the rim for a soft touch finish, and on the other side of things, it's another high pick and roll, and Jamal draws some contact while driving, which earns him a trip to the line. The Lakers come right back with a ball screen of their own, except they go to a Spain pick and roll, and that leaves Bron with an angle to get downhill for a layup. All it takes is one stop. Again, it's the 2-man game. Jamal ends up with a long 2, and there's just not much you can do when he's hitting like this. LA just has to keep on pushing to make Denver play from behind. They once again set up Spain pick and roll, and a fall from KCP leaves Bron with the 3-point shot of a lifetime. It's a make or miss league, and he barely misses. I think we all know exactly what happens next.
Murray makes a move. Denver. The Nuggets have won!
After going down 68-48, the Nuggets won the last 22 minutes of this game with a score of 53-31, a 22-point advantage. In the fourth quarter, they had an offensive rating of 152.4, or in simpler terms, they played perfect offense. And they coupled that with a defensive rating of 95.2, in large part thanks to that matchup change I talked about with Gordon on Davis. After shooting just a porous 3 of 16, or 19% from the field in the first 3 quarters, Jamal recorded 14 fourth quarter points on 6 of 8 shooting to take complete control of this game down the stretch. The main talking point just has to be Jokic though. His late game offensive organization might just be the best we've ever seen, and he recorded a calm stat line of 27 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists as the Nuggets jump out to a 2-0 series lead. I'm not sure what to expect in Los Angeles, but this felt like a big missed opportunity because even with seemingly everything going in their favor, they didn't stand a chance against the clutch time Denver Nuggets. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you thought of this game. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.